Nicholas Decker is a student. I'm not sure where he's a student, but he posted this on Twitter earlier today, and it's got a boatload of views. It's at 5.1 million views, and all of my friends were sharing this and basically dunking on the guy because, well, I mean, look at him. But his tweet says, the ultimate source of political power is and always will be violence. If the present administration should continue on its course, there is no choice but war. I say this out of sorrow. When must we kill them? And he wrote a whole big old piece on Substack about when he believes violence is acceptable. And of course, it's from a left-leaning perspective. It is the Donald Trump is the big boogeyman. Mm-hmm. And again, this speaks to the point that Libby brought up earlier, that 55% of Democrats believe that violence is acceptable to some degree. And I think that they probably only say to some degree because most people are a little apprehensive about saying, yeah, let's go cut their heads off. You know, like nobody wants to come out and say that.
They do say it, though. I was just filming on the street in Philly with James, real quick. This is
crazy. Nothing to say, right?
I know. Listen,
I was right.
We were literally filming on the street, and we were asking people if they're okay with the Tesla violence and everything like that. And the man goes, you know, sometimes that's what you have to do. Look at the French Revolution. He was like, they were using the guillotine, right? And so James asks him, he goes, so do you think we should, you know, is it okay if we do the guillotine to Elon Musk? And the guy was like, yeah. And then a sentence later, and he's like, I have like totally centrist, moderate views. Like he literally said that. Like they don't even realize how insane they are. Like none of them realize that.
This is why people really should actually watch the videos from the Mexican cartels, because that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what you get, right? Like there is, like I said earlier, the left seems to think that there is a volume knob on violence. And that's not how it works. You don't get to say, oh, okay, it's a little too rich for me now, so I'm going to turn it down. And there's a phrase when it comes to the military and in war that you hear all the time. The bad guy gets a vote too. Once you open that box, right? Once both sides have said, okay, this is the course of action that we're taking, you don't get to say, oh, wait a minute, that's too much. And for too many people don't understand that it's not Lexington and Concord. It's not going to be, you know, red coats versus the blue coats. It's not going to be like that. What it'll end up being is cartel violence. It'll be like the mob violence. It won't be anything pretty. So these kind of things, in my opinion, they're just totally, totally ridiculous to even entertain. Like you should not be talking about this stuff. Yeah. But again, we live in a world where there were two attempts on the president's life during the what's it called, and the Democrats have changed zero. There are multiple very big accounts on X that I can think of that are constantly saying Trump's a Nazi, constantly making the comparisons to Germany in the 30s, and it does not stop. Keith Olbermann, Rachel Beitkofer, there's a bunch of people that are consistently making the same kind of allegations, and when you hear that over and over, you get ridiculous stuff like this. I'm going to read the first paragraph here. Evil has come to America. The present administration is engaged in barbarism. It has arbitrarily imprisoned its opponents. That's just not true. There are no political opponents that are imprisoned. Revoked the visas of thousands of students. Well, they're visas. I mean, that's not all that big of a deal. Imposed taxes upon us without our consent. What? That's what
they do.
It's totally detached from reality and seeks to destroy the institutions which oppose it. Its leader has threatened those who produce unfavorable coverage and suggested that their licenses be revoked. It has deprived us, in many cases, of trial by jury. That's just not true. It has subjected us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and has transported us beyond seas to be imprisoned for pretended offenses. That's not true either. He's talking about the Maryland man. We have a media that encourages this, that continues to feed this narrative.
The Media Research Center did a study of the coverage of Garcia versus the coverage of Rachel Morin. And there was like 100% more coverage of our Garcia than Rachel Morin, because what the media enterprises want to do is set this up as a example as to why there should be no deportations. And what I think is really important to realize is that the administration that came before Trump encouraged all of this illegal immigration with absolutely no intention of sending anybody home ever at any time for any reason. So now it's like
Surge the border.
Yeah, so now that was the whole point. And so now when you have people like this doofus who are saying, political opponents are being imprisoned, and what he's talking about are criminals who are being told finally to leave. And judges who are coming out and saying, oh, you can't just terminate temporary protective status for 500,000 people. You can't just deport people without due process. We have 10 million extra people in this country, right? That came in under Biden.
More than that, but go ahead.
But let's just go with 10 million, right? Because
Still wild.
it's still wild. But just under Biden, who came in, because it was like over 2 million a year. By the official count, by the Biden administration's own count. So, already it's going to be way more. But you have all of these people come in. How long would it take to give due process to 10 million people? It would take centuries, like literal centuries. And so when you had the Biden administration trying to push that bill through Congress, what was it, last June, saying that we needed more judges, more immigration judges, they wanted more judges so they could get more people in. And at the same time as they were doing that, they were cutting off cases. They were saying, okay, don't even bother contacting these people about their court date. Just get rid of these court dates. They were implementing a semi-legal status system for people that they wanted in the country to do the labor to support the laptop class.
Yeah, I have some concerns about due process specifically as it pertains to sending people to Seacoast.
This is where I turn into Darth Vader. I don't have any concerns.
If you're not a citizen,
I do.
bye.
I do think that I also have concerns with the fact that we have a ton of people that are here illegally and our immigration courts are totally backed up. My genuine wish, sincerest wish, is that there is a way to speed up that process for deportations. However, sending people to El Salvador to this prison that's not really
I love it.
run by us.
So I'm completely fine with sending people from El Salvador back to El Salvador.
Yes.
And what happens to them when they're in El Salvador is not my problem.
But if we're funding it, does it become our problem?
No, because we're getting them out of here. This is, and I've said this multiple times on the show, this is a creation of the Democrats and Joe Biden. It was intentional on their part. They used the Health and Human Services Department to move these people around the country in an effort to affect the census and affect congressional representation. They had people come in and they wanted to use these asylum seekers, which were illegal asylum seekers because they didn't go to port of entrance. They were coming over wherever they could get over. And as soon as they ran into a Border Patrol agent, they said they were seeking asylum. That's illegal. That means they go right back. This was a plan by the Democrat Party in an effort to install the Democrat Party as a permanent one-party system in the United States that disenfranchises millions of Americans, takes away all of their political power. These people deserve far worse than they're going to get. But the people that are here, and I'm talking about the politicians and the NGOs and the people in the administration that facilitated this, but the people that have been brought here, that have been helped by NGOs to come up over the Darien Gap through Mexico, all of those people need to go. Every single one that we can get rid of. And if there are mistakes made, those people that were in error can petition the government from somewhere else. This is not something that the American people should be punished with. Because again, this is taking away political power from Americans born in America. It's taking that power away using their own money to do it by the elected officials that they elected. This is not just a dereliction of duty. It is absolutely counter to the best interests of the American people, and I don't think that it counts as treason. I'm not sure what the exact term would be, but using the money of the American people in an effort to dilute the political power of the American people is abhorrent to anything that any American would agree with. The people that are here illegally need to go, and I don't care about due process. Send them home.
It's not just that either. I mean, it's not just the political power, which I assume you're talking about congressional districts, right?
Yes, they're
And-
looking to redistrict, and they're also looking to
redistrict and
turn
do all of that.
purple states
Yes.
blue.
It's
Turn
hugely
them blue.
problematic.
And
I
that's
would
yeah.
totally
I
agree
mean,
with
that's
you.
a big problem too. But there's a lot of other issues as well, because Chuck Schumer said outright that America needs illegal immigrants in order to replace Americans because we have low birth rate. He said that in September of 2024. He said that in a press conference. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is what Chuck Schumer said, Democrat senator from New York. You had AOC out there.
Browning of America, the
Sure.
phrases, the thing, and then when if you were a white person that said, "Oh, they're trying to replace us," you're a racist. They
Right.
hit you with all
and
of
you're
the
like
the slur names.
demonetized on YouTube.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. When they would say the exact same thing, there was times where Rachel
if
Maddow
they like it and
was,
they say it, it's okay.
Yes,
And if you don't like it
exactly.
and you say it, then you're the problem.
100%.
You also had Jasmine Crockett out there saying that we need illegal immigrants to do all of these menial jobs. She said, and I quote, "We done picking cotton."
I was just
right.
like,
I mean,
I-
Yeah, we want to
said that.
create a second class
we
of
want to
citizen
create
in
a
America.
second class of
I don't know whether to
sub-citizens
love or hate that woman.
with dodgy legal status who have to do these jobs.
Yeah.
And you also had, lest anyone forget, you had Barack Obama out there when he was doing his campaign for president, and he was quoting Cesar Chavez. Does everyone remember this? Si se puede. Remember Cesar Chavez? Cesar Chavez is a California labor organizer. He went out there into the strawberry fields, a lot of Mexicans picking strawberries. And what would happen is they were picking strawberries in the valleys, and the farmers would put pesticides out and herbicides out to protect the strawberries. All of those pesticides would roll down into the valley. The Mexicans would be picking it. They'd get sick. Not great. That's not good, right? So Cesar Chavez goes out there and he says, we need union, we need to organize, we need to become a union, we need to fight for the rights of workers so that they can go out and pick strawberries without getting sick. Okay, cool. Totally on board, pro-union, whatever. Chavez was entirely 100% opposed to illegal immigration. Why? Because it undercut American wages. It undercut the wages of the people that he was organizing. And these people came in and were used as strike busters, and then they would come in and take the work. So
They get thrown to the wolves,
Right.
for sure, because they
Yeah.
can't advocate for themselves.
Right. And they have no legal standing. So you have Democrats simultaneously sucking the teat of labor and gobbling up all of their money and undercutting labor and going against labor. It's no surprise that when we had the April 5th Hands Off rally and we had all the labor leaders out there talking, it's no surprise that every single one of those labor leaders were leaders of government unions. These were government workers that they are representing. They're not representing actual labor. The UAW wasn't out there. The Teamsters, who also represent a huge swath of hospitality, I think they weren't out there. That's not the Democrats are feeding us lines about si se puede and about labor and about workers, but they don't actually care. They just want someone to deliver their crap to their house so they can sit on their couch and look at their laptop and tap their fingernails or whatever else the hell it is they do.
I think a big portion of it is they believe that they're doing the right thing by
It's a
saying,
moral thing because they have
Yeah.
no God other than themselves. And so if they think they're doing good, then they believe they're good people. And that's enough. I mean, these are people who do yoga and think that makes you a good person. That is ludicrous. That's just out of
Or it
control.
just makes you flexible. And maybe a little
It's actually
calmer.
just demonic in general.
Maybe.
It's not even good.
But it doesn't make you a good person. Being vegan doesn't make you a good person. Neither does doing a nice bike ride. That doesn't make you good.
No, it
It
doesn't.
just, it makes you I don't know,
But,
oxygenated.
Going back to due process for a second, he's from El Salvador.
Yes.
He comes here illegally. Forget whatever he did, right? If El Salvador wanted to extradite him back, right, and we had an extradite thing, we could do that. He doesn't need to hear a court. They clearly want to keep him. They clearly want to keep him. So why, if it's their citizen and they want him there, why do we need to go through this whole rigmarole to send him back when he doesn't belong here and his government wants him there?
What's interesting, too, is when they talk about the administrative error, right? They were talking about,
Right.
he was sent back by mistake. What they mean by sent back by mistake is that he was sent to El Salvador because in the original, I think it was the 2019 protective order, it said that he could get sent somewhere, but he
Because of
shouldn't
the
go to El
gangs.
Salvador because his mother was being extradited at her, not extradited.
But those gangs are gone, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Gangs are gone.
He's
I
with
mean,
the
there
gangs.
is no
now.
threat
anymore.
No,
They're
Lisa,
they're in the
he's-
prison.
They sent him
Extorted.
to the
His
same
mother
place
was being
that the
extorted.
gangs are.
But you've seen that prison. You've seen inside of there. Nick Shirley did a great expose on it. Nobody's fighting in there. Nobody's going to kill him in there.
Okay, well,
it
hopefully.
is so regimented in there, and there are no gangs to hurt him. They are all under so much control there. Have you seen the videos?
I've seen pictures. I haven't seen videos.
Oh no, go watch Nick Shirley's YouTube on it. Like,
Okay.
Nothing's going to happen
Right.
to him in there.
So I want to get back to the violence here in the U.S. And there's one thing that I saw in this kid's essay. It says, if these actions become normal, the government could arrest anyone and deport them to a prison in a foreign land without hope of redress for no reason.
Not true.
So first of all, legally, you're correct. It's not true legally, but honestly, everyone knows that if the government wants to do those things, they're gonna do them, right? So
they have a monopoly on force.
yeah, they have the monopoly on violence. We hope that we have the ability to use lawyers and the law and courts to prevent, not to prevent that, but to get us out of that situation. But if they want you, the government is just going to come take you, and you can. The evidence of that is the raids of people's homes over all kinds of different things. The fact that the government constantly violates the Fourth Amendment when it comes to civil asset forfeiture. I know you love that one.
Absolutely.
The violations of the Second Amendment, the attempts to have they called them free speech zones on campuses where you weren't allowed to say whatever you wanted except for this specific little area. The government will do any number of things to violate your rights, and only
Well, was
we
that,
only
was
have
that
the hope.
government? Was that government or was that universities?
Those are mostly universities.
Yeah.
Oh, was
That
it?
fight
Okay, fair
speech
enough.
codes on campuses. 10 times out of 10, it was the university saying, we have free speech. And then it's like, but
Okay.
only in this alley.
And unless you're Jews.
yeah.
Yeah, fair enough on that particular point. But it's not like the government has any compunction about going to your house, kicking in your door, and pulling you out, or just killing you. There was a guy that the ATF killed over
in
some
Montana?
kind of. Pardon me?
Montana.
I don't think. I thought he was in Florida.
Oh, well, there's been a bunch.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, yeah,
to
there you go.
my point,
Utah, not
Okay.
Montana. Yeah.
But the point being, the government has no compunction with going and ripping you out of your home for whatever reason they feel. So the idea that, we're protected now and then Donald Trump is going to make things dangerous, it's such a
No.
ridiculous.
In fact, there's a bigger microscope on what the Trump administration is
Yes.
doing. So I highly doubt that an American citizen is going to get ripped out of the country, deported to El Salvador, and then not be brought back. It did happen once to an American man, I think in 2012, who was mentally disabled, and he was like wandering around Mexico for a while, but they got him back.
Yeah.
You know?
And it
So
look,
it has happened before, but not under Donald Trump.
and fair enough, it sucks if it does, right? Fine. I agree. And I don't want to see that happen to innocent
Yeah.
people. But more than that, I don't want to see, an endless train of illegals coming into the country, staying in the country. I don't want to see a government that is completely lawless. So this kid talking about, all of these things that the Trump administration has done and is going to do, and questioning when is it acceptable for violence. I mean, this is something that me and Tim talk about, and I came up with a phrase that's, where's the off-ramp? If kids are writing stuff like that and people believe these things.
They really do believe it.
And
They
that's
really do. And it's like normal people. You said the centrist, the self-proclaimed centrist was saying it's fine to do that to Elon Musk.
Wild.
We have
Real.
breaking, we have breaking news.
what's that?
Breaking news.
We have breaking news. Yeah, Garcia, who we were just talking about, has it's a tweet from the president of El Salvador.
Oh, okay.
President Bukele. Kilmar Abrego Garcia miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. Here's some photographs
not
of
the
this
photos.
guy.
Send it over to
So
Literal
mad.
photo
looking for
shoot.
it.
First of all,
So
he
with the-
needs to get done for the Logan Act.
So with the Maryland senator, right?
Yes.
That's who he's with.
Yeah.
This guy, if I understand correctly, this guy has done absolutely nothing for any of the people in Baltimore that are victims of tons of violence,
Mm-hmm.
tons of violence.
Right.
and he then can go to El Salvador for a guy that's not even an American. So I agree with you, Lisa. He should definitely should go.
That's
The green
undermining
lines.
the foreign policy interests of the United States, and he should be arrested
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah,
And you know what?
so-
That's what I want to see. I don't want to see people at UFC. I don't want to see Pam Bondi on Fox News every night. I want to see people arrested for things like this. I want to see as many lawsuits, as many anything that you can do. I want to see more.
We've talked about this actually.
More, way more.
There are. It is. There are a lot of
Now
people
here
that are
it's
that are
coming.
saying, oh, there's a lot of people that are saying that, oh, the administration's not doing enough. They haven't done anything, et cetera, et cetera. And I am of the opinion that the administration is aware of the desires of their base.
Yeah.
And I believe that they're also working to do the things that the base wants. And the reason you haven't heard anything is because if they talk about it on the internet, it blows the investigation.
You can at least say there's stuff coming.
Literally, Dan Bongino did.
Okay.
There's a tweet that he said, look, just because you're not seeing it doesn't mean that it's not happening. And you're the person I'm talking about, Lisa.
It's not. I just think we only have about a year and a half to get
100%.
No, you're
things
so
seriously done
Absolutely.
before midterms come, and
We have less
it's
than a
not-
year and a half, but
It,
yes.
it is not like they didn't have all the evidence for all these years for a lot of things. We've had numerous investigations. We've had numerous congressional hearings on these things. It's not like they didn't have it.
Well,
it's not hard to compile
This is something that
the
we
evidence.
also talked about, the fact that Trump has removed people's clearances. Those are moves that indicate something is happening.
getting there.
So again,
I'm a little impatient because
Yeah.
I've been let down so many times and seen nothing happen
Yeah.
and then be completely feckless. And I'm just hoping that that's not the case.
the Epstein files, I think, definitely caused
that was
the
a
mistrust.
terrible.
That was a
such
bad move.
Terrible.
Really bad
move.
rollout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not great.
I think there's a good chance the Epstein files don't exist.
Yeah.
Fair.
Anymore.
Yeah. Well, also, it was analog. These were all analog files. So, to the extent that they do exist, they were probably drowned in some subway flood in Brooklyn years ago.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.